And we're going to now check in with Brixton Metals, a returning guest. We're going to be happy to be rejoined by Gary Thompson, who is chairman and CEO. Now, Brixton has some particularly strong assets, including Thorn in BC's Golden Triangle. It also has Hog Heaven in Montana and Langus in the Cobalt Camp of Ontario. So good diversity of assets there. Now, as for Gary himself, he is the co-founder of the company. He has extensive experience in the industry with over 25 years of project management and resource exploration experience in precious metals, including oil and gas and geothermal power. Gary holds several discovery credits for metals and geothermal. Previous employment experiences include both junior and major mining and energy companies, including Newmont Mining, Nova Gold Resources, and Encana Corporation. Some big names. Gary, nice to see you again. Welcome back to the Global Mining Symposium. How are you doing today?
Hi, Anthony. I'm doing well, thank you. Good to be back. And how are you doing?
I'm doing great. We're rolling with it today. Lots of really good speakers, and you're joining some good select companies. So I will turn it over to you and look forward to your presentation.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. I guess I need to see if I can get this set up here.
No worries, just make sure that your presentation is open, and then you'll use the share screen button at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Yeah, and then just click on the presentation you want to share and hit the share button.
Okay.
There we go.
And I'm going to full screen, and I'll try and get a little cursor going here so I can. You can see that okay?
Yes, we can. Looks great.
Okay. All right. Brixton Metals. So here's our safe harbor statement. So Brixton is, for those of you that are not aware of Brixton, we're an exploration company really focused on gold, silver, and copper. We've got a great portfolio of assets that have generated some spectacular grades for really for all these commodities. In early 2021, we signed a significant farm out agreement with Ivanhoe Electric on our Montana project called Hog Heaven. And we can get into some of the details on that as I get through this presentation. We believe Brixton is significantly undervalued to our peers. We're in that sort of sub 40 million market cap. And recently, if you look at the, I guess year to date, shares traded, it's about 150 million shares traded to date on Brixton from our 198 million outstanding. We've got a solid shareholder base with Eric Sprott, and now Ivanhoe Electric and Rob McEwen as our top three shareholders. Here's our portfolio location. Pretty significant presence in Canada, and probably the largest land package in Northwest BC for gold in the Atlant Camp. And Thorn is really a porphyry district that we're building out. Significant silver, cobalt in the Cobalt Camp of Ontario. And the Hog Heaven project in Montana is really, I guess, a porphyry in the making with significant past production there for silver, but also porphyry copper gold potential there. And just given the time constraints of the presentation, I'm really going to focus on Thorn and a little bit on the Hog Heaven project. So Thorn, for maybe some of you that have, Brixton's been around for about 10 years, and this was our listing property in 2010, but it's really morphed into a quite a large project now, some 2,600 square kilometers in the northern trend of the Golden Triangle here, where you can see some very substantial copper gold deposits. And obviously with that recent Newcrest and the Pretium deal, there's certainly a lot more interest and eyes on this part of the world. It's got to be one of the best mineral-rich parts of the world. And the reason, the large reason why we expanded our land position, some 10 times what it was, in 2018, the BC Geological Survey did a reanalysis of the geochemistry database that they had, and they did this porphyry weighted sums analysis, and really it highlighted for us. In fact, we only had this northern part of this anomaly here, but you can see the southern trend here. We're calling now this 80-kilometer mega trend down here. So this was open ground in 2018, and that's basically the reason that we staked it. In fact, if you look at some of the other large porphyry camps, this highlights one of the largest porphyry anomalies in the province. And this is some work that we've done, but also we've data mined about 150 old assessment reports and on the project. And what we've been able to determine, and now we've got several, I think we've counted about 14 new large-scale exploration targets. And some of them have had significant work and some fairly early stage, like the West target. This is a fairly new copper porphyry target for us. But if you look at the scale of this, you know, from the Camp Creek area to Trapper, which we're going to get a little bit more into those two targets today. This is about 11-kilometer trend here. And then we have this Metla target down here, which looks like another porphyry center. We've got this area we're calling Plum, and then an east target, which actually had some drilling on it. So it's quite a large area. And, you know, we think we're sitting on multiple porphyry centers on the project. Still exploration stage. There's been a fair amount of work done on the project, but spread over a number of targets. Pretty exciting year, 2021 for Brixton in the Camp Creek. This is one of the areas that has seen a lot of work historically. But most of the drilling, you can see by these little lines up top here, pretty much 95% of the drilling was fairly shallow. And it's only been the last couple of years that we're now pushing further down into what we're seeing into porphyry mineralization. And we published these two holes this summer, hole 184, 820 meters of 0.4 copper equivalent, including almost 320 meters of 0.69 copper equivalent, ending in porphyry style mineralization here at about 1,200 meters. And then 286 meters away is this hole 183, which went down to 1336. And you can see the quite a broad interval here, 550 meters of 0.5 copper equivalent. I think the important thing to note here is that, you know, we're onto a porphyry here. Yeah, it's deeper, but the objective here for us, we don't believe we're into the core of the porphyry yet. And we have the opportunity, we think, to wedge off somewhere where it really starts to get good in this, you know, 0.5 to 0.7 range, and wedge off into different orientations from these holes at these locations, and with the objective of tapping the core of the porphyry. And why that's important is because that's going to, if we can show that we've got a core here, which should be bornite rich, and about, you know, based on our assessment of porphyries, you know, about 60% of the porphyries have an enriched core. So think of philo mining type hole where they drilled, you know, 800 and some meters of 1.8% copper equivalent. So that would be the target for us. You know, we would anticipate starting to drill in this 0.5 to 0.7 range and continuing to drill down 500 to a kilometer in several orientations from I guess a few holes from select existing holes like this. So that's going to be an exciting 2022 for us to get back here and drill some big holes. So stay tuned for the Camp Creek porphyry. Here's some of the mineralization, what it looks like. It is copper dominant. We are seeing chalcopyrite over pyrite now at these depths, which is encouraging, and the significant amounts of gold, silver, and moly as well. And just, you know, with these holes, while we're not in the core, we are showing that we're starting to stack up to some of these other world-class porphyry deposits. So we're getting up there. I think with the 2022 drilling, we would expect to be up in the, you know, upper levels of these other world-class deposits. So we're not quite there, but very encouraging from what we're seeing so far. So what we did this year is we focused on the Camp Creek was half of our budget, and the other half of the budget was focused down here in Trapper. And the Trapper was a new acquisition that we acquired last year from Kodiak Copper. So we did a substantial geochemical survey, And what we did is we expanded the Trapper anomaly now for about 4 kilometers in its own right, which is more of a gold porphyry target. But if you look at the overall trend here from Camp Creek down to Trapper, that's about 11K there. And then we have this Outlaw, which is a sediment-hosted gold target. That's about a 4-kilometer gold anomaly in its own right. So pretty interesting. GeoChem is working here and it's been quite effective for us. So we recently published some very encouraging results from holes 185 to 187 in the Trapper target. We announced earlier this summer that we saw significant visible gold counts in the drilling, which you can see in these yellow dots. And we also sampled some very high grade gold in this Inlock Creek area, as high as 135 grams from rock sampling at surface. We also identified some new areas with some significant copper. Even though there's not a lot of copper in the actual gold trend that we're seeing, we are seeing some nice copper showings up to 5% in a couple locations outside the gold zone. So that's something that we're going to continue to work on and assess. This is the hole that we published. It's actually hole 186. That was really a gangbuster hole. Doesn't matter really how you chop and change this hole. 139 meters of 2.14 grams gold. And then within that, there was 11 meters of 19 grams and a couple of flyer high grade hits here. What it looks like we're on this contact of these diorite porphyry unit with these mafic Stuhini volcanics, which are lapilli tuff. And we're seeing quite a variation in gold mineralization from disseminated into the porphyry to quartz stockwork zones, high sulfidation, low sulfidation. So it's still early days for us, trying to sort out what it is that we're sitting on here, but it's quite a compelling target and with some significant scale. So lots of room to grow this. This is a pretty exciting new development for us. Here's kind of what the visible gold looks like. You can see these looks like high sulfidation veinlets. We're getting some nice visible gold in with quartz veins and pyrite, but also with sphalerite and galena and pyrite as well. So quite a variation in styles of mineralization here with the visible gold. Just briefly on Hog Heaven, this was an asset that Brixton acquired in 2017. We paid $1 million in stock for this and spent a few million on working it up and some drilling. We did a bit of drilling, drilled about 7 holes in 2020, and we struck a deal with HPX, which is now Ivanhoe Electric, which is Robert Friedland's U.S. platform. I think soon to be public. So the way the deal is structured is it's over 11 years, but there's a 2-phase approach here. To get 51%, they need to pay Brixton $4.5 million US over 6 years and fund $15 million in exploration expenditures to get to 51. They can elect to move up to 75% by funding an additional $25 million US expenditures. They've done really good work so far. They've done some re-assaying. A lot of the old core and cuttings didn't assay for copper. They did some more geophysics and sort of remodeling work. So we're pretty excited to see them get on this and start drilling. It looks like we're dealing with a high sulfidation system and a porphyry copper gold system at depth here. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully they'll be drilling that in early 2022. I guess just in summary for Brixton, we've got a diversified portfolio of gold, copper, and silver projects in stable jurisdictions like Canada and the US. We have a strong shareholder base, and we believe we've got significant upside potential on all of these projects for major new discoveries. So with that, I can maybe turn it over for some questions if there are any.
Excellent. Thank you, Gary. Well done. Hog Heaven, that's an interesting one. And you have some big names behind Brixton. Robert Friedland, Rob McEwen, Eric Sprott. Let's, since you finished off talking about Hog Heaven, what makes Ivanhoe Electric optimistic about Hog Heaven? What have they said to you about it?
Well, I think, what they're seeing in the core, we see some similarities to Thorn in that, they're seeing mineralized porphyry fragments in the diatreme. So we've got diatreme mineralization and we have high sulfidation veins. It's very indicative of a porphyry system at depth here. And, you know, the copper historically there was, I think, overlooked. If you look at the previous mine plan there was to focus on the gold and silver, mainly the oxide at surface. So they, I think, kind of overlooked on the copper. And so I think they believe, as we thought as well, is that there's a significant copper porphyry system here at depth.
Okay. From the presentation, we can really see how you outlined that Thorn is really shaping into something. Looks like it could be shaping into something special there with those drill results. What target at Thorn, though, are you personally most excited about?
Yeah, you know, that's that's a tough one. You got a lot of good targets, but I think really what's going to move the needle for us, really, it's where we're focusing the dollars. Trapper. We're getting some pretty substantial 139 meters of 2 grams of some nice high grade in there at surface, near surface mineralization. That's pretty exciting. But when you look at the Camp Creek target, you've got potential for, you know, a couple billion tons there potentially, and, you know, good economic grade. So, you know, we still need to, I think, prove that to the market. Yeah, it's a tough one. There's so many good targets there. We're excited about Metla too. We haven't done any drilling out there, but we're seeing, you know, what we're trying to find at Camp Creek, we're seeing at surface in Metla. We just haven't drilled it yet with bornite and, you know, some good grade copper porphyry style mineralization there. So we're going to try and do as much as we can with the budgets we have, but yeah, it'll be an exciting season.
What percentage does Metla get of the budget for next year?
Yeah, it's probably going to be on the lower side. I'm going to say probably 10-15% of the overall budget, just because we're more advanced on these other targets, Trapper and Camp Creek, whereas Metla we're just kind of getting going.
Okay, very good. Well, things are looking great for you guys, Gary. We love to see companies that are putting drills in the ground and generating the kind of results that you're doing right here in Canada. So congrats and continued success through 2022.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Gary. You have a great rest of the day.
You too. Take care.
Cheers.